Courage. Dear heart, wrote C.S. Lewis, reminding us of the strength we can draw from our faith even in the midst of trials. Have you ever felt the sting of failure so deeply that it seems impossible to rise again? Proverbs 24 verse 16 reassures us that the righteous may fall 7 times, but they will rise again. This powerful promise emphasizes that it is not our failures that define us, but our ability to rise after each fall. In life, setbacks and regrets might weigh heavily on your heart, making you feel stuck in a dead-end situation. Yet, remember that God's grace is sufficient. Your dreams lie just beyond your failures, and each time you stumble, Jesus' right hand is there to lift you up. Stay with us as we explore this profound truth further, drawing strength and hope from God's unending grace. If you found this message inspiring, please like and comment below as we continue our journey together. In the 7th chapter of Micah, verse 8, we read, "Rejoice not against me, O my enemy. When I fall, I shall arise. When I sit in darkness, the Lord shall be a light unto me." Similarly, Proverbs 24 verse 16 states, "For a just man falleth 7 times, and riseth up again." Notice it says a just man, not a wicked one. It's not referring to someone who isn't trying, but to someone who is putting forth their best effort. Does this resonate with you? Life often feels overwhelmingly heavy, doesn't it? It's as if each day serves as a reminder that without God's support, we are bound to falter. C.S. Lewis poignantly said, "God whispers to us in our pleasures, speaks in our conscience, but shouts in our pains. It is his megaphone to rouse a deaf world." Have you ever felt that piercing shout in your moments of deepest despair? Have you questioned why such trials besiege those who strive to walk righteously? This life undeniably tests us beyond our limits, but through these trials, we are reminded that our strength is insufficient on its own. In these moments, we must lean on God, recognizing that our ability to stand, to rise after each fall, is only because he upholds us. When darkness surrounds us and we cannot find our way, it is his light that guides us back. So ask yourself, how has God's light guided you in your darkest hours? How has his strength enabled you to rise again and again? The passages we explored this morning are not concerned with the inevitability of falling, rather, they focus on what follows after we stumble. Reflecting on C.S. Lewis's insights, we must ask ourselves what becomes of us after we fall. Lewis once wrote, "We are what we believe we are." This profound statement urges us to consider not just the fall itself, but our response to it. It's not about questioning whether we will falter, whether our faith will waver, or if we will make mistakes. Those are certainties in the human experience. The critical question is, will we permit God to work within us post-fall, just as we did when we believed ourselves steadfast? How do we reconcile our failures with our faith? Do we embrace the opportunity for divine intervention and growth, or do we succumb to despair? C.S. Lewis, in his writings, often emphasized the importance of humility and repentance. He believed that our falls could become stepping stones to a deeper relationship with God if we let them. When we fall, it is an invitation to humility, to acknowledge our imperfections, and to seek God's grace. Lewis's analogy of the sculptor chiseling away at a block of marble illustrates this beautifully. Are we willing to let God shape us, even when the process is painful? Do we see our falls as moments where God is working more profoundly within us? By contemplating these questions, we connect our struggles to a broader narrative of redemption and divine love, allowing us to transform our falls into acts of faith and trust in God's unending mercy. Will you let God take the shattered pieces of your life and weave them into a tapestry of triumph? Are you willing to let him transform your failures into stepping stones for victory? Or will you let them signify the end of your testimony and your walk with Christ? Reflect on Micah's profound words, "When I fall, I shall arise." There's no escaping the inevitability of falling, but the choice to rise or remain down lies within us. C.S. Lewis once said, "Hardships often prepare ordinary people for an extraordinary destiny." Can you see the divine purpose in your struggles? Lewis's wisdom reminds us that even in our darkest moments, God's light can pierce through. Whether it's emotional, physical, spiritual, or circumstantial darkness, it's a part of our journey. Do you trust that the Lord will be your beacon of light in these times of despair? Ask yourself, how can embracing this divine light change the way you face your darkest days? Will you allow your trials to refine your faith and character, or will they overshadow your belief in God's promise of redemption? Remember the story of Job, who amidst his suffering declared, "Though he slay me, yet will I trust in him." His unwavering faith turned his agony into a testament of God's restoration. How might your unwavering trust in God's plan transform your current situation? Imagine your life as a tapestry woven with both trials and triumphs, each thread contributing to a masterpiece. What if your perceived setbacks are actually setups for a grander future, meticulously designed by God? Embrace the promise that your comeback story, orchestrated by the Almighty, is not only possible but destined to be monumental. Will you rise to the occasion and let God turn your darkest moments into your greatest testimony? In the hustle and bustle of our daily lives, it is easy to declare our faith in God when everything is going smoothly, but how often do we maintain that trust when faced with adversity? We may praise the Lord Jesus Christ in moments of joy, yet fall into despair when troubles arise. A wise man once said, "There is a light that drives out the darkness in my life." Notice, he did not claim that darkness would never touch him, rather. He emphasized that he possessed a light to combat it. This echoes the sentiments of C.S. Lewis, who remarked, "I believe in Christianity as I believe that the sun has risen not only because I see it, but because by it I see everything else." It is not the absence of darkness that defines our faith, but the presence of light in our darkest moments. Consider the prophet Micah, who boldly proclaimed, "Rejoice not over me, my enemies, when I fall, for I shall arise." He did not dwell on his hardships or succumb to discouragement. Instead, he recognized an essential truth: there is resilience within his spirit. Amidst his trials, he spoke of victory. To overcome our challenges, we must adopt Micah's mindset: these problems are temporary, merely passing through. As Lewis insightfully noted, hardships often prepare ordinary people for an extraordinary destiny. Have you ever felt overwhelmed by your struggles, wondering if you have the strength to rise again? Reflect on the resilience within you, the divine light that guides you through. If God is for you, who can stand against you? Just as Micah declared his inevitable rise, we too must hold fast to the promise of overcoming. So, when facing difficulties, remember this problem didn't come to stay, it came to pass. With God on my side, I shall arise. Proverbs reminds us that a good person may fall 7 times, but they rise again. This resilient spirit echoes in C.S. Lewis's words: hardships often prepare ordinary people for an extraordinary destiny. The journey of getting back up after a fall is crucial for personal growth. Recall the child learning to walk. Each fall is a step toward mastering balance and movement. Lewis's insights emphasize that these falls are not failures but integral parts of our development. He wrote, "Failures are finger posts on the road to achievement." Reflect on your own life. When was the last time you fell, and how did you get back up? God, in His infinite mercy, has already accounted for every mistake we would make. He doesn't see us through the lens of our failures, but through our potential for redemption and growth. "You may be down," says the Lord, "but that is not your final destination. Get ready to rise." C.S. Lewis profoundly captured this sentiment by stating, "You are never too old to set another goal or to dream a new dream. Embrace the process of standing up again, for it is through these moments that we find our true strength." God's grace is sufficient, just as He provided Paul the courage to proclaim, "When I am weak, then I am strong." 2 Corinthians 12 verse 10. Ask yourself, what passion have you lost along the way, and what dreams have you abandoned? It's time to rekindle that fire within you. Lewis believed that God allows us to experience the low points of life in order to teach us lessons that we could learn in no other way. So, when will you rise and seize the destiny that awaits you? When will you allow God's plan to unfold, trusting that every fall is a step toward the extraordinary life He has in store for you? Proverbs 24 verse 16 reminds us that the godly may trip 7 times, but they will rise again, while one disaster can overthrow the wicked. This verse underscores a profound truth. Despite our falls, God helps us to rise again. We stumble, but through His grace, we get back up each time. Think about how this pattern of falling and rising is integral to our growth and resilience. Consider this: how many of you have watched a child learn to walk? When your child was a baby, they started by crawling, and then one day, they miraculously stood on their own 2 feet. What happened next? They fell. But did any of you say, "Stay down, baby"? Of course not. You encouraged them, saying, "Get up, come to mommy, come to daddy." Each time they fell, you urged them to try again. Sometimes they fell on their backside, other times on their face. But you continued to encourage them because you knew that falling and getting back up was essential for learning to walk, run, and eventually reach their full potential. This process mirrors our spiritual journey. Many of us have faced life's harshest blows, leaving us feeling defeated and stuck. Yet, this is precisely when we must remember that a setback is merely a setup for a comeback. How often do we allow our failures to define us, forgetting that God's grace enables us to rise again? Reflect on C.S. Lewis's transformation from despair to faith. He once said, "Hardships often prepare ordinary people for an extraordinary destiny." Have you ever considered that your current struggle might be preparing you for something extraordinary? When we face our darkest moments, we must remember that God specializes in comebacks. The story of Job is a testament to this. He lost everything, yet his faith remained steadfast, and he was ultimately blessed with more than he had before. Imagine your life as a tapestry, woven with threads of trials and triumphs, each contributing to a greater masterpiece. What if the obstacles you face are not hindrances but divine setups for a glorious future? So, let's rise and soar as we are destined to. No matter how dire the circumstances appear, we are never truly out of the race. Even the bleakest situations can turn around. Your moment of resurgence could be right in front of you, and it promises to be monumental. Let us embrace each fall as an opportunity to rise stronger, for in God's hands, every setback is a setup for an extraordinary comeback. This could mark the start of your comeback, because God is the master author of redemption stories. He's the one who can rewrite your narrative, transform your circumstances, and lift you from defeat to triumph. As C.S. Lewis poignantly expressed, hardships often prepare ordinary people for an extraordinary destiny. Have you ever felt like giving up, only to find an unexpected strength to persevere? God doesn't abandon us even when we are ready to abandon ourselves. We might lose hope, but God's hope for us remains steadfast. In the Bible, time and again, we see examples of God not giving up on His people. Think of the prodigal son returning to a father who ran to embrace him. Similarly, when we turn back to God, we discover that He is there, waiting with open arms, much closer than we had imagined. Have you considered that God's proximity in your darkest times might be more profound than in your brightest moments? With God, hope is always within reach, no matter how distant it seems. Reflect on this. What if your current struggle is preparing you for a greater purpose? C.S. Lewis once said, "We are not necessarily doubting that God will do the best for us, we are wondering how painful the best will turn out to be." This pain, this trial, could be the very catalyst for your greatest victory. Remember Job, who endured unimaginable suffering but ultimately experienced unparalleled restoration. Think about Joseph, sold into slavery by his own brothers, yet rising to become a ruler in Egypt. God turned their tragedies into triumphs, and He can do the same for you. Imagine your life as a book, each chapter filled with trials and triumphs, pain and perseverance. Could it be that this difficult chapter is setting the stage for an awe-inspiring climax? Lewis also noted, "God whispers to us in our pleasures, speaks in our consciences, but shouts in our pains. It is His megaphone to rouse a deaf world." Could your current pain be God's way of drawing you closer, of writing a new chapter that surpasses all your expectations? Take heart, for your comeback story could be unfolding right before your eyes, promising to be monumental. As you journey through this season of hardship, remember that you are not alone. God is with you, shaping and molding you for a destiny that only He can see. Embrace this time with the faith that your greatest victory is yet to come. Have you ever wondered why, in your darkest moments, it feels like hope is just out of reach? It's as if the shadows have obscured every sign of God's presence, leaving you feeling utterly defeated. Yet, C.S. Lewis once wrote, "God whispers to us in our pleasures, speaks in our consciences, but shouts in our pains. It is his megaphone to rouse a deaf world." This profound truth serves as a reminder that even in your deepest pain, God is calling out to you, eager to rewrite the ending of your story. Imagine, just for a moment, that your narrative doesn't have to be one of failure or loss, but one of triumph and victory. This transformation begins the moment you turn back to him, acknowledging that he has been waiting for you all along. Consider the prodigal son, who returned home expecting rejection, only to be met with open arms and a celebration. God desires the same for you. He wants to turn your despair into hope, your defeat into victory. Have you ever felt too broken or too far gone to return to Christ? Remember, you are never beyond his reach. As Lewis wisely observed, the great thing to remember is that though our feelings come and go, his love for us does not. Embrace this unwavering love and let it be the foundation for your renewed story. You are not too lost to be found, nor too broken to be healed. God's plan for you is one of hope and victory, waiting to be realized the moment you decide to come back to him. Think about Job, who endured unimaginable suffering but remained faithful. His faith was tested, yet he emerged stronger and was ultimately restored with even greater blessings. In your own life, the trials you face are not the end of your story but the beginning of a new chapter filled with God's promises. Have you ever considered that your current pain could be the very catalyst for your greatest growth? Reflect on how God has used the pain of others to bring about incredible transformations, turning sorrow into joy and despair into hope. Just as C.S. Lewis found that pain was a powerful teacher, your struggles can lead you to a deeper understanding of God's love and purpose for your life. Remember, you are part of a greater narrative, one that God is carefully weaving together for his glory and your good. You are not alone in your journey. God is with you every step of the way, ready to turn your setbacks into setups for an incredible comeback. Trust in his plan and let his love guide you through the darkness into his marvelous light. I don't know the exact place you find yourself in at this moment. Perhaps you are overwhelmed by a recent failure, or maybe a devastating event has left you feeling utterly hopeless and gripped by fear. But what if I told you that our God, the same God who transformed C.S. Lewis's life from despair to profound faith, can also turn your darkest hour into your most triumphant victory? Lewis once said, "Hardships often prepare ordinary people for an extraordinary destiny." Consider how your current struggle might be paving the way for an extraordinary comeback. Have you ever thought that your greatest failure could be the prelude to your most significant success? Reflect on the story of Job, who lost everything but was eventually blessed with twice as much as before. Imagine your life as a tapestry woven with both trials and triumphs, each thread contributing to a masterpiece. God specializes in comebacks. What if the very things you see as setbacks are actually setups for a glorious future? Take heart, for your comeback story could be unfolding right before your eyes, promising to be monumental.